My name's Hailey, and I never thought I'd be sitting here, telling strangers on the internet about how my own father ruined my future, just to impress a woman who wasn't even half as loyal as I was to him. But here we are. I'm 20 years old now, but this story begins back when I was 17, when my entire world flipped upside down. I had always believed that no matter what happened, my dad would at least have my back. We didn't have the closest father-daughter bond, but I thought blood was thicker than water, right? Turns out, I couldn't have been more wrong. Let me take you back to the day I found out. It was a Saturday morning in spring, and I was sitting at the dining table, filling out college applications. I had my heart set on UCLA. I'd been working my butt off for years. Honor roll, advanced placement classes, after-school tutoring sessions for extra cash. Everyone said I had a bright future ahead of me, and I actually believed it. We weren't rich, not even close. My mom passed away when I was 12, so it had just been me and Dad since then. He worked as a mechanic, steady job, long hours, calloused hand. He wasn't the type of guy you'd call warm and fuzzy, but he provided, and ever since middle school, he promised me, "Emily, don't worry about college. I got a fund set aside for you. When the time comes, you'll be taken care of." That promise was the only thing that kept me going through those late-night study sessions. So you can imagine my shock when, one ordinary morning, I logged into my savings account, an account Dad had always told me was my college fund, and saw a giant fat zero staring back at me. At first I thought it was a glitch. My hands shook as I refreshed the page over and over, praying it was some kind of technical error. But no, the balance had been wiped clean, every cent gone. I remember sitting there, numb, with this ringing in my ear. My throat went dry, and my stomach twisted like I'd swallowed a stone. I couldn't breathe. And then I heard it. Outside, the roar of an engine, loud, smooth, expensive. Nothing like the clunky old cars my dad usually drove home from work. I got up and peeked out the window. That's when I saw her. A shiny, cherry-red convertible pulled into our driveway. The kind you only see in movies or on rich kids' Instagram feeds. And behind the wheel, giggling like a teenager, was my dad's girlfriend, Sabrina. Now, Sabrina, how do I even describe her? She was 29, barely older than some of my college classmates, with long platinum hair, fake lashes, and this laugh that could make your skin crawl if you heard it too long. She had met my dad just 6 months earlier, at some bar, and ever since then, she'd been glued to his side. I had nothing against her at first. I mean, my dad deserved happiness, right? But the way she slithered into our lives, into my life, was something else. She acted like she owned the place. Like I was just some inconvenient roommate instead of his daughter. And now she was driving a brand new convertible straight into our driveway. I swear, my heart dropped into my stomach. I knew in that moment, I didn't want to believe it, but deep down, I knew exactly where my college fund had gone. I stood frozen at the window, my nails digging into the curtain fabric, my jaw so tight, I thought my teeth might crack. The cherry-red convertible gleamed under the morning sun like it was mocking me. Every time Sabrina tossed her platinum hair back and laughed, it was like another slap in the face. My dad climbed out of the passenger seat, jingling the keys in his hand like some proud teenager who just scored his first ride. He looked smug. That was the only word for it. Smug. And a little too happy for a man who had just gutted his daughter's entire future. I stormed outside before I could even think. "Dad, what the hell is this?" He froze. For a split second, guilt flickered across his face. But then he smoothed it over with that fake, calm expression he always used when he didn't want to admit he'd done something wrong. "Hailey, don't start," he muttered, tossing the keys to Sabrina. She caught them like they were made of diamonds and pressed a kiss to his cheek. "Don't start?" My voice cracked, and I felt the burn of tears in my eyes. "Dad, my college account is empty. Completely empty, and now you show up with..." I jabbed my finger at the car. "That," Sabrina tilted her head, eyes wide with fake innocence. "Oh, sweetheart, don't be dramatic. It's just a car." I whipped around to glare at her. "Stay out of this. You don't get to talk about money that isn't yours." Her smile faltered for a moment, but she recovered quickly. "Well, technically it's your dad's money, right? He can spend it however he wants." That was it. The words hit me like a punch to the chest. "No," I snapped, my voice shaking with rage. "That wasn't just his money. That was my future. That was years of saving, working, Mom's insurance. Every promise you ever made to me. Dad gone. You stole it. Dad's jaw tightened. His eyes darted between me and Sabrina, like he couldn't decide who to defend. Hailey, listen, I didn't steal anything. I'm your father. That account was under my name. I had the right. The right? My laugh came out sharp and bitter. You think you had the right to destroy my life, to take the one thing Mom wanted for me and throw it away on, I gestured wildly at the convertible, my words strangled by anger. Her? Sabrina gasped, pressing her manicured hand to her chest like I'd stabbed her. Wow. Jealous much. I felt my entire body trembling, my hands curled into fists at my sides. You think this is about jealousy? I worked my ass off while you were parading around town like some second-rate trophy wife. I don't care about your stupid car. I care that my dad chose you over me. For a second, the driveway went dead silent. Even the birds seemed to stop chirping. Dad finally spoke, his tone sharp. Enough, Hailey. You're out of line. You'll figure something out for college. You're smart. You'll get loans. This isn't the end of the world. That was the moment my chest caved in. The betrayal wasn't just the money. It was hearing my own father dismiss my entire future, like it was nothing more than an inconvenience. I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip the keys from Sabrina's hands and hurl them across the street. Instead, I spun on my heel and went back inside before I did something I couldn't take back. But in that moment, one thing was crystal clear. If my dad wasn't going to fight for my future, I was going to fight for myself. And maybe I was going to make him regret ever underestimating me. For the next few weeks, our house turned into a battlefield, though not the kind with yelling and slammed doors. No, my dad and Sabrina fought dirty. Their weapon of choice was silence, guilt, and little digs designed to make me feel like an unwanted guest in my own home. The day after the car incident, Sabrina was suddenly everywhere. Her perfume lingered in the kitchen. Her shoes cluttered the entryway. Her laugh echoed down the hall late at night. It was like she'd moved in without ever asking. And my dad? He acted like this was perfectly normal. I tried to keep my head down, focus on my schoolwork, and pretend like it didn't eat me alive. But every time I opened my laptop to work on college essays, the empty balance of my account flashed in the back of my mind like a neon sign. 0, 0. One evening, I overheard them in the kitchen. Sabrina's voice was low but sharp. She's ungrateful, Mark. You give her everything, and she acts like you owe her more. Honestly, she's toxic. My stomach dropped. Toxic? Me? Dad sighed. She's just stressed. She'll calm down once she realizes college isn't everything. College isn't everything. I wanted to burst in and scream. College was my everything. My mom, his late wife, had drilled it into me since I was little. Education is freedom. Hailey, it's the one thing no one can take from you. And now here was Sabrina, talking my dad into believing my dreams didn't matter. That night, I cried myself to sleep. Not because of the money. Well, not only because of the money, but because my dad wasn't defending me. He was defending her. The weeks dragged on. Sabrina started making little comments at dinner. Oh, Hailey, maybe you don't need college. Lots of people make money on Instagram these days. Or you shouldn't be so entitled. Not everything revolves around you. Each time, I clenched my fork so hard my knuckles turned white. My dad never told her to stop. Sometimes he even nodded along. The final straw came one Saturday afternoon. I was cleaning up the living room when Sabrina strutted in, dangling a shiny new purse on her arm. Gucci, easily worth more than I'd ever had in my bank account. Do you like it? She asked sweetly. Your dad surprised me with it. Isn't he the best? Something in me snapped. I dropped at the pile of books I was holding and stared at her. Do you enjoy this? Rubbing it in my face that my entire future got traded for your shopping sprees. Her smile slipped. You're so dramatic. Honestly, Hailey, maybe if you weren't such a brat, your dad wouldn't feel the need to spoil me instead. That was it. The room tilted. My blood rushed in my ears. Before I could even form words, Dad walked in. He saw me, saw her, and without even asking what happened, he said, Hailey, enough. Apologized to Sabrina. apologize to her, the woman who was living off my stolen future. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. It was bitter, raw, broken. You want me to apologize? Fine. I'm sorry, Sabrina. I'm sorry my mom isn't here to see the man my dad's become. I'm sorry you think buying designer bags is more important than sending your daughter to college. I'm sorry I ever thought family meant loyalty. The silence after that was deafening. Sabrina's eyes glittered with triumph, like she'd finally gotten exactly what she wanted. Me cast as the villain. Dad's face was red with anger, but he didn't say a word. I walked upstairs, shut my bedroom door, and slid down against it, shaking. That was the night I made myself a promise. If they wanted me broken, if they wanted me quiet, they'd picked the wrong girl. They stole my money, they stole my trust, but I was going to take something back. Something they couldn't buy, couldn't manipulate, couldn't steal. I was going to take my power. And maybe, just maybe, I was going to make them regret underestimating me. After that night, I stopped wasting my breath, arguing. I realized something important. Yelling at my dad or Sabrina was pointless. They didn't see me as family anymore. To them, I was an inconvenience, someone in the way of their shiny little fantasy life. So I decided to play the long game. I started staying out late, not partying, but working. I picked up extra tutoring jobs, babysitting gigs, anything that paid cash. Every dollar I earned, I stashed away. My goal wasn't just to save. It was to prove to myself that I could stand on my own without them. But there was another part of me, a darker part, that craved something else. Not just independence, justice. See, my dad thought he was clever. He thought by keeping the account under his name, he was untouchable. But I wasn't stupid. I knew Mom's life insurance policy had been meant for me. I remembered the meetings with the lawyer after she passed. I remembered her voice, shaky but firm, saying, "This money is for Hailey's education." If my dad had siphoned that money into his own account, it wasn't just betrayal. It might have been illegal. That thought stuck in my head like a spark waiting to ignite. One evening, when Dad and Sabrina were out, I crept into his office. My heart hammered so loud I was afraid it would give me away. The drawers smelled faintly of motor oil and stale coffee. But buried under receipts and old car manuals, I found what I was looking for. Paperwork, bank statements, transfer slips. My hands shook as I scanned the numbers. There it was. Mom's insurance payout, listed in black and white. Deposited into an account under my dad's name, then drained in chunks over the last 6 months. The amounts matched perfectly with the car, the purse, the endless gifts he showered on Sabrina. I felt sick. My knees buckled and I sank onto the floor, clutching the papers to my chest. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was theft. From his own daughter, from my mom's memory. But in that wave of grief, something else bubbled up. Rage. Pure, white-hot rage. If he thought I was just going to swallow this and move on, he didn't know me at all. The next few weeks I gathered evidence. Quietly, carefully. I photocopied the documents at school. I emailed myself screenshots of transfers. I even took photos of Sabrina flashing her new jewelry and posting captions like, "My man treats me right." Every piece of evidence felt like a weapon I was sharpening, but I didn't know yet how to use it. Going to the police felt risky. What if they dismissed me? What if my dad twisted the story? Then one night, I overheard something that gave me the final piece I needed. Sabrina was on the phone in the kitchen, pacing back and forth. I only caught fragments, but they were enough. "Yeah, he's got more life insurance," I told him to change the beneficiary. "Hailey doesn't deserve it." My blood ran cold. Not only had she encouraged him to steal my college fund, she was pushing him to cut me out of everything else too. That was when the idea hit me. If my dad and Sabrina wanted to treat me like the enemy, fine. I was done playing defense. It was time to go on the attack, and I knew exactly how to hit them where it hurt. I knew I couldn't fight this battle alone. So I quietly gathered allies, Mr. Patel, my old math teacher, and my 2 closest friends, Jenna and Marcus. They helped me back up every receipt, screenshot, and bank record I found. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't drowning. When I had enough proof, I decided to hit my dad where it hurt most. His reputation. At a neighborhood barbecue, surrounded by people who thought he was the perfect dad, I laid out the documents on the hood of his truck. The laughter stopped cold. "These are bank transfers," I said, my voice shaking but loud enough for everyone. "Money from my college fund, used to buy that car, and those gifts for Sabrina." The neighbors stared. My dad's face turned red. He muttered, "This is private," and stormed off with her. But the damage was done. People had seen the crack in his perfect mask. That night, he cornered me. His voice was low, furious. "You're trying to ruin me. You'll regret this." But instead of fear, I felt stronger. If he wouldn't make it right, I'd force his hand. I started working with a legal clinic, building a solid case. Then Sabrina slipped up. She posted a video bragging about her queen treatment with my dad's gifts. Date, car, receipts. All right there. Proof I couldn't have bought with gold. I sent it to the lawyer and even contacted a small local reporter. Things were finally turning my way until the twist. One morning, I found a hospital parking sticker on Dad's truck. And then a text from an unknown number lit up my phone. "Tell your father not to go to the Lions Club this week. He should stay home." For the first time, I realized this mess was bigger than just money. That mysterious text haunted me. Who would warn my dad not to show up at the Lions Club? A prank? A threat? Or something darker? And that hospital sticker? Why would he need it? Sabrina wasn't sick, was she? Or was the money being used for something more than cars and handbags? I couldn't let paranoia control me, so I kept moving forward. I sent the proof to the lawyer, confirmed my meeting with the local reporter, and waited. Every hour felt like a drumbeat in my chest. Then another twist. I overheard Sabrina on the phone. She was furious. "No, Mark can't pull out now. We need the money. If he backs out, the whole thing falls apart." My blood ran cold. The money? The whole thing? When I confronted her, she snapped. "Stay out of it, Hailey. You have no idea what's going on." And for once, I believed her. If this wasn't just about me anymore, there was some secret she was hiding from both of us. I checked my phone again. That text was still there. "Tell your father not to go to the Lions Club." My gut told me it wasn't a joke. Someone out there knew something I didn't. And then the final blow that night. My lawyer called. "Hailey," she said carefully, "I've reviewed your case, and I think there's more at stake here than stolen money. If what you've shown me is true, your father could be facing fraud charges. Fraud, not just betrayal, not just family drama, actual crime." And I realized if Dad went down, Sabrina might not be the only one dragged with him. I might too. The word fraud echoed in my head for days. I couldn't focus on class, couldn't sleep without imagining handcuffs and courtrooms. My dad had crossed a line I couldn't even see before. And now it wasn't just about me losing money. It was about the law. But the hospital sticker wouldn't leave my mind. So one afternoon, I followed him. He left the house with Sabrina, and instead of going to dinner like usual, they drove straight to that hospital. My pulse hammered as I parked a few rows behind. I watched them walk in together, her clinging to his arm, him looking older, more tired than I'd ever seen him. I waited an hour, then two. When they finally came out, Sabrina was carrying a packet of papers. I snapped a photo from my car. Later, with Jenna's help, I zoomed in. The heading read, "Fertility and IVF Treatment Plan." My stomach dropped. All that money, my college fund, Mom's insurance wasn't just for cars and handbags. It was funding Sabrina's dream of having a child with my father. I wanted to throw up. Not because of the treatments themselves, but because of the sheer cruelty. He'd stolen my future to buy their future. The next day, I confronted him. "Dad," I said, shoving the photo at him, "was my education worth less than giving her a baby?" He froze. Sabrina hissed. "You don't understand, Hailey. This is love. We're building a family." "A family?" I spat. "You already had one. You had me." His face tightened. He didn't apologize. He didn't even deny it. He just said I had to make a choice. That was it. The final nail. He chose her, Over me, over Mom's memory, over everything. And yet, the mysterious text still haunted me. Tell your father not to go to the Lions Club this week. If the IVF was their secret, what did the warning mean? I was about to find out. Because at that week's meeting, my dad ignored the text. He went anyway. And that night, the Lions Club dinner turned into the biggest disaster of his life. The night of the Lions Club dinner, my dad buttoned his nicest shirt, kissed Sabrina on the cheek, and strutted out like nothing was wrong. Like the world didn't know he'd stolen from his own daughter. Like I hadn't caught him. Like his reputation was untouchable. I sat in my car across the street, watching the lights glow inside the hall. My phone buzzed with texts from Jenna and Marcus. Are you sure about this? But I was done hesitating. This was the night. Inside, the Lions Club was packed. Local business owners, neighbors, the kind of people who smiled at my dad like he was everyone's favorite uncle. He laughed, shook hands, patted backs. Sabrina was glued to his side in a glittery dress, glowing like the queen she thought she was. Then the speeches started. My dad took the mic, thanking everyone for their support and bragging about his recent successes. I felt sick. He was standing there pretending to be a generous, hard-working man, while I knew the truth. When he finished, I stood up. My legs shook, but my voice didn't. Excuse me, I said, loud enough to cut through the chatter. There's something everyone here deserves to know. Heads turned. My dad froze at the podium. I walked forward, holding the folder of documents. My hands were steady now. My father emptied my college fund. He took every dollar my mom left me when she died and spent it on his girlfriend, cars, jewelry, and now I pulled out the photo from the hospital. Fertility treatments. Gasps rippled through the room. People whispered, pointing at the glossy paper in my hand. Sabrina's face went pale. My dad stammered. Hailey, stop this right now. No, I said, my voice sharp as glass. You call yourself a role model, but you stole from your own daughter. You robbed me of my future to fund her. The room was dead silent. Then Mrs. Alvarez, our longtime neighbor, stood up. Is this true, Mark? She demanded. Others joined in. Questions, accusations, murmurs spreading like wildfire. Sabrina tried to speak, but the crowd drowned her out. My dad's face turned red, then purple. He slammed the mic down, but it was too late. The whispers had turned into outrage. And then, almost like fate, the local reporter I'd contacted earlier walked in with a camera. She'd come to observe, but instead, she'd stumbled into a live meltdown. The last thing I saw before leaving was my father cornered, neighbors surrounding him, questions firing from every side. Sabrina clutched his arm, but he shook her off. For the first time, he wasn't in control. When I stepped outside into the cool night air, I felt lighter than I had in months. My dad's mask had shattered. His empire of lies was crumbling, and for once, it wasn't me who looked small. But as I walked to my car, my phone buzzed again. A new text. This is only the beginning. He's not the only one with secrets. The fallout was immediate. The Lions Club dinner became the talk of the town. By the next morning, half the neighborhood had seen the video of me exposing my dad. The local reporter ran the story. And suddenly, his shiny reputation shattered overnight. My dad tried damage control. Phone calls, excuses, even blaming me. But people weren't buying it. The proof was out. The legal clinic filed papers to freeze what was left of the account. And the lawyer told me flat out, you're going to get your money back. Sabrina, she didn't stick around. The moment the word fraud started circling, she vanished. Deleted her posts, blocked everyone, and left my dad standing in the wreckage. And those strange texts, I finally got the truth. The reporter admitted she sent them. She had sources whispering that my dad and Sabrina were funneling money into shady side deals. And she wanted to scare him into skipping the Lions Club to buy time for her investigation. It wasn't some mafia-level conspiracy, just a journalist trying to crack the story before it went public. That mystery gave me closure too. Because in the end, it wasn't about strangers or secret threats. It was always about him, his choices, his lies, his betrayal. And my dad, he faced consequences he couldn't talk his way out of. Fraud investigations, public shame, friends turning their backs. For the first time, he wasn't the man with all the power. He was just a man who betrayed his daughter and paid the price. As for me, I got my fund restored. It didn't erase the betrayal, but it gave me what I needed most, a chance to step into my own future without his shadow choking me. I moved out, started fresh, and every time I sat in a classroom, I reminded myself, this seat was mine. I earned it. No one stole it from me. Looking back, the pain wasn't just about the money. It was about the choice he made, choosing someone else's dream over mine. But in the end, I chose myself, and that was the real justice. So that's my story. My own dad emptied my college fund and bought his girlfriend a car. But in the end, he lost everything while I finally found my freedom. Sometimes family isn't about blood. It's about loyalty. Tell me, what would you have done in my place? Thank you for listening.